Good morning, everyone. My name is Faye, and I'm here as the Prime Minister. My team and I agree with the prompt that this House believes that using influencers for advertising has negative impacts on local brands to grow. Now, my team may introduce themselves.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Naomi, and I'm the Deputy Minister.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Karina as a member of the...
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Bryant as Government Whip.
Thank you so much for the government team for the introduction. My name is Andrea, and I'm here as the leader of the opposition team. And my team is against the motion that says that this House believes that using influencers for advertising has negative impacts on local brands to grow. And now my team may introduce themselves.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Adinda as Deputy Leader of Oppositions.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Danicha as Opposition Team.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Rifki. I'm as Opposition Whip.
Okay, as the Prime Minister, my responsibilities here are defining and interpreting the motion and to develop the case for the proposition. As we know from the prompt, brands tend to use many ways to advertise their product. For example, renting out space on the billboard, using mass media such as television, cinema, newspaper, or even radio. And the most common activity after social media became widely used by the public is doing paid promotion to influencers in social media. Influencers will act as the key opinion leader or KOL to their followers in social media. Although having a new way for advertising cannot be blamed, using influencers with a paid promotion scheme can lead to several negative impacts on the brand's growth. Now, as a proposition team, I find it hard to disagree on the motion. My team and I agree that using influencers for advertising can cause consumer distrust and backlash, and also cause the vampire effect and failure to build the brand equity. As the first speaker of the proposition team, I will convey the first case that will be backed up by the Deputy Prime Minister. Previously stated, advertising using influencers now became commonly used. Brands pay one or more influencers to try out and promote their newest product. With this concept or scheme, it can cause a customer distrust of the brand from the influencer promotions. Influencers getting paid to promote can be perceived to, as long as they get paid by the brand, they don't care about how they deliver the promotion or about how they give a truthful review of the product. Profit-driven influencers are dangerous, not only because they don't care about the audiences, but they can also give misinformation about the product. And then when brands pay many influencers to promote their products by giving them the same brief, content homogenization occurs, making the audience feel that the promotion content is repetitive, predictable, and inauthentic. With these concerns, the audience will instead feel skeptical about the products promoted by brands through these influencers and will not be interested in trying or buying them. Consumer distrust will affect both influencers and brands. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Prime Minister. And as leader of the opposition here, my duty is to refute the government's case and establish our clear opposition towards this motion. So while the government team has correctly identified the pitfalls of purely executed influencer campaigns, but also wrongly presents them as the inevitable outcome, we reject this motion because the negative impacts, which is distrust and homogenizations, are not inherent to using influencers, but to using them poorly. Our opposition rests on a superior model that is authenticity through alignment. For a local brand, growth is about credibility and community, not just visibility. This model moves beyond transactional promotion towards partners with influencers who are genuine users or whose values is authentically matched with the brands. So this strategic alignment is the antidote to the government's fear. It will transform a paid promotion into a credible endorsement within a trusted community. building a deeper trust with than just a mere traditional ads. It also prevents repetitive content and act as a genuine partner that creates a unique, humanizing storytelling that builds the brand equity. And in essence, the government's model is one of extraction using an influencer's audience like billboard. Our model is one of integration where shared values create a powerful and trusted message. This is not a negative for local brand growth, but it is a uniquely potent strategy to build credibility and community efficiently. And we are looking forward to the debate. Thank you.
Alright, thank you so much, Miss Andrea. So, you as the help of the opposition team assumes that authenticity solves the problem, but that fundamentally misunderstands how influencer ecosystem works. Even the most genuine influencer, as you said before, is still an individual whose behavior, opinions, and public perceptions can be controlled by a brand. And especially for those who are only in it for the endorsements instead of a brand collaboration. Furthermore, they are not like the professional ambassadors or regular advertisers. Influencers, especially online ones, have real personalities that can change, slip up, or even end up involved in controversies. So, when the opposition team claims that the authenticity ensures stable, credible endorsements, we strongly disagree. In reality, influencers are unstable assets. And there are actually no better influencers as long as there are people living their lives with their handmade personal branding, of course. And the reputational risk of using influencers can harm local brands the most. Because when an influencer gets into a scandal or is criticized online, the brand associated with them is immediately dragged into the problem right away. Local brands often rely on one influencer because they don't have big budgets. So if something goes wrong, they don't have a backup plan. Furthermore, unlike the large companies, they cannot hire crisis management teams or launch new campaigns quickly or even hand a PR team to manage it. A single mistake from the influencer can destroy the trust of a local brand has spent building. And after all, people will know the influencers first at the first place, not the product or the brand. So if the influencers stop working with them, the brand will lose the borrowed identity it relied on. And it could also lose credibility if the influencer is involved in a scandal. Therefore, for us, influencer marketing brings risk that local brands hardly manage. This can result in great reputational loss, and the consequences are often permanent, especially for local brands we're talking about. So, for these reasons, this house should believe that using influencers for advertising has negative impacts on local brands. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Naomi, for your statement. So, the government insists that influencer marketing is an uncontrollable gamble, right? But that friend ignores a basic reality of business, that is every partnership carries risk, and what responsible brands do is manage that risk, not run away from it. So, we claim authenticity is unreliable because the influencers are real people who might slip up. But that's precisely why brands apply due diligence just as they would with suppliers, investors, or brand ambassadors. Local brands today don't just pick influencers based on follower count. They look at behavioral patterns, audience fit, reputation history, and long-term brand alignment. This is not native trust. This is calculated selection. Beyond that, modern influencers contract commonly include normative clauses, content guidelines, and performance indicators. This clause exists to ensure that even if something goes wrong, the brand is protected, compensated, or legally able to distance itself. This is standard practice, and local brands are increasingly aware of it. If we can manage PR crisis for product defects or customer complaints, then managing individual-based risk is far from impossible. And let's talk about diversification. The government claims local brands as helpless entitled to a single influencer, but that's not reflective of the current market. Even with limited budgets, brands often collaborate with micro and non-influencers, multiple smaller partnerships that are affordable yet effective. This spreads exposure, reduce the dependence on any single figure, and minimize reputational risk. This is strategic marketing, not binary. So, rather than claiming the risk is inherently damaging, we argue the risk is not a flaw of influencer, it is unmanageable, predictable business is avoiding influencers. Altogether, it's not the solution, using them wisely is. For local brands, influencers remain one of the most powerful, cost-efficient ways to build identity and reach consumers. The answer is due diligence, not from the avoidance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the government team and of course the launching team. I think Mr. and Ms. Naomi has shown two clear harms. First, influencer advertising creates a consumer distrust due to repetitive, profit-driven content. And second, it exposes local brands to reputational risks that small business cannot recover from when influencer face handles. Ms. Dina claims these risks are manageable through due diligence contracts and diversification, but this ignores the reality that influencer behavior is unpredictable and no clause can stop public backlash from spilling into the brand. With that in mind, let me move to another major problem, one that affects the very identity of local brands, the vampire effect. Okay, let me start with a simple question. If people remember the influencer but forget the product, can we call that a successful advertising? Of course not, right? This is exactly the danger local brands face today. We call it the vampire effect, and when the influencer's popularity drains attention away from the product itself. In influencer advertising, this spotlight is almost always on the creator's lifestyle, their aesthetic, their personality, and the local product becomes nothing more than a prop. And when the audience remembers the face, not the brand, local businesses fail to build a brand equity. Instead of developing their own identity, brands end up borrowing the influencer's identity, an identity that may not even align with their values, market, or positions. This creates a short-term hype with zero long-term meaning, no loyalty, no differentiation, and no sustainable proof. So, at the end, influencers may gain followers, but local brands lose themselves. This is why we, the government, firmly argue that using influencers for advertising harms the growth of local brands, because the heart of the ad is never the product, but always the influence. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Ms. Karina for your strong arguments. I'm here to reinforce our opposition team from Andrea and Adinda, while directly responding to the concern raised by the government team. Let's go through the main points critically. The first one is the vampire effect. Karina argues that influencer marketing creates the vampire effect, where influencers associate the product, leaving local brands without identity. Well, this can happen if campaigns are mismanaged. It is not inevitable. Ms. Faye and Ms. Naomi highlight the risk of poor planning, but Ms. Andrea and Ms. Adinda have shown that when brands partner with influencers whose values align with their products, the campaign integrates the product naturally, creating authentic storytelling. This strengthens brand identity rather than stealing the spotlight. Overshadowing occurs due to mismanagement, not the presence of influencers themselves. The second point is building brand equity and customer loyalty. However, Ms. Andrea has already pointed out that influencers, especially micro and nano influencers, amplify brand identity and connect with niche audience. If the brand provides a quality product and maintains consistent messaging, this connection translates into real, a lasting loyalty. Followers are introduced to the brand in context they trust, turning social engagement into long-term brand equity. The third one is reputational risk is manageable. Ms. Naomi highlighted the unpredictability of influencer behavior, but Ms. Adinda explained clearly that these risks are manageable, not unavoidable. Through due diligence morality clause and diversification across multiple influencers, local brand can reduce dependency of any single individual and protect themselves from potential controversies. And the last one is mismanagement, not inherent flaw.
The government repeatedly present influencer marketing as inherently harmful. But the core problem is poor strategy, not influencers themselves. When executed correctly, selecting aligned influencers, maintaining brand consistency, and managing risks, influencer marketing becomes a powerful tool for growth, visibility, and community engagement. Ms. Face now points on consumer skepticism, Ms. Naomi concern about reputation, and Ms. Karina's vampire effect all assume worst case mismanagement, which Ms. Andrea and Ms. Adinda and I have shown can be avoided. In short, the issues raised by the government of overshadowing, reputational risk, and shallow loyalty are not intrinsic to influencer marketing. They arise from poor execution, not the tool itself. When done strategically, influencer marketing empowers local brand, strengthens brand identity, and builds lasting relationship with customers. Therefore, we firmly reject the motion. Using influencer for advertising does not harm local brands. It is powerful strategy for growth. Thank you. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Danicha and the opposition team for your agreement. But did you know that influencer marketing creates fragile and harmful customer relationships? Like Ms. Karina said, the problem lies in the difference between parasocial loyalty and transactional loyalty. Audience don't follow the brand, they follow the influencer. Parasocial loyalty means that consumers feel emotionally connected to the influencer, almost as if they know them personally. They buy products not because they trust the brand, but because they want to maintain that imagined relationship with the influencer. This loyalty is transactional. It exists only as long as the influencer continues to promote the product. Once the contract ends and the influencer stops posting, the audience interest disappears. Customers leave because their loyalty was never attached to the brand itself. For local brands, it is dangerous. Instead of building long-term customer trust, they become dependent on temporary influencer contracts. The moment the influencer moves on to another sponsor, the brand is abandoned, leaving it with no sustainable growth. In other words, influencer marketing traps business in a cycle of rending attention rather than cultivating genuine customer trust. It undermines authentic brand's identity and weakens the foundation of customer loyalty. Therefore, influencer-driven loyalty is shallow, short-lived, and ultimately harmful. If we want brands, especially local ones, to thrive, we must recognize that parasocial loyalty is not real loyalty. It is borrowed credibility, and when the influencer leaves, so do the customers. Let me take a summary from my team. As a government, we support the motion that advertising through influencer harms the growth of local brands. We emphasize that paid promotion generates consumer distrust, produce repetitive and inauthentic content, and weaken brand equity, causing audience to become skeptical and less interested in the products. We argue that influencers are unpredictable and pose significant risks to local brands. Scandals or controversies can erode trust, and small businesses that rely on a single influencer often suffer long-term reputational damage. We further assert that the government thinks believe influencer advertising undermines local brands by fostering distrust, creating reputational risk, and producing the vampire effect, a phenomenon in which the influencers overshadow the products, leaving the brand without identity or sustainable growth. Therefore, influencer marketing only builds fragile customer relationships. Audience connect emotionally with influencers rather than with brands. This loyalty is shallow and transactional, lasting only as long as influencers promote the product. Once the promotion ends, interest fades and the brand is abandoned. For local business, this means merely branding attention instead of earning trust, ultimately weakening long-term growth. So that's all from proposition team. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, for your argument. While your concern about parasocial and transactional loyalty are valid in fully meaning influencer training, they overlook a fundamental loyalty will talk. Influencer is not inherently shallow, it becomes shallow only when friends fail to bridge the initial attraction toward the influencer into sustained engagement with the product. 1. Parasocial loyalty is not a weakness. It is a gateway. Yes, audience often follow the influencers, not the brand, but this early emotional attachment acts as an entry point to introduce the product to consumers who would not have discovered local brands otherwise. With proper follow-up strategies such as community engagement, after-sales experience, and storytelling, firms can convert parasocial attraction into genuine brand loyalty. Initial attention is not random, it is invested. 2. Strategic marketing turns temporary exposure into long-term retention. Influencer marketing is not intended to stand alone. Smart local brands continue to leverage their relationship through retention strategies. For example, user-generated content campaigns, loyalty programs, or highlighting actual customer experience. When the influencers stop promoting, loyal customers remain because their satisfaction is based on product value, not just the influence. 3. Dependency is not insensible. It is a result of poor execution. The issue lies not in the influencer marketing, but in trends that rely solely on influencer visibility without reinforcing the identity. When managed strategically, influencers act as amplifiers, not substitutes. They drive awareness, while the brands put loyalty through quality consistently and consumer engagement. And therefore, at the last, moreover, the credibility can be transformed into other credibility. Even if transmitted with the influencer, it is to the brand once customer experience the product results. The opposition will believe that what matters is not where loyalty starts, but where it self-serves. Influencer campaigns can facilitate this transition efficient. And then, let me make a summary from my team, right? In conclusion, the opposition, my team, strongly minded the influencer marketing is not inherently harmful to the growth of local brands. The concerns presented by the proposition such as consumer register, reputational vulnerability, overshadowing of their product, and parasocial loyalty stem from the mismanagement and lack of strategic planning, not from the nature of influencer advertising concept. When implemented properly through authentically the element of the due diligence, certification of influencer platform and will determine what campaign engagement strategies. Influencer marketing become uneffectively gateway for the brand awareness, audience targeting, and loyalty development. Instead of simply presenting attention, local brand can transform in the initial interest driven by influencing consumers, maximum product quality, consistent communication, and value-added interaction. Therefore, the true challenge is not whether influencers should be used, but how they should be strategically integrated to support sustainable growth and long-term market competitiveness. Thank you. Yes.
Alright, thank you everyone. I think that concludes our debate today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.